Chapter 541, Being Hung Upside Down and Red Beat. While looking at Yang Lu, Tang Xiu asked, "You don't know anything about the situation of your eldest senior brother?" "No, but it seems he's taking care of the business of the Yao family abroad." Yang Lu shook his head. "Nevertheless, I'm really suspicious about that, considering how big my eldest senior brother's ambition is. He definitely won't give up the position of family head, neither will he stay abroad so willingly just to deal with ordinary businesses. The Yao family is still hiding loads of secrets, it seems," said Tang Xiu slowly. "Humph, no matter how many secrets they hide, as long as they dare to oppose the Tang family, then what awaits them is only extermination. Yang Lu, answer me seriously, how is the relationship between you and your eldest senior brother?" Yang Lu was silent for a while, before he shook his head with a bitter expression and said, "It's not good. Our relationship is so bad that, even if we aren't enemies, we will never become friends either. That's not enough. Help me out, you will become a friend of mine later, regardless. Also, don't forget that you have given me your word that you'll help me for that opportunity," said Tang Xiu. "I'm on board a pirate ship or something?" asked Yang Lu with a forced smile. "You can regard it as you like," said Tang Xiu calmly. "What do you want me to do, then?" asked Yang Lu. "I'll send people to investigate the Memorandum of Understanding draft currently being prepared by the Yao family and the government. You must steal it if it's necessary. As long as the Mao draft is missing, it will affect their progress and bring about a lot of troubles to them. Nevertheless, this is only a small part of my plan. We'll talk about the rest of the plan later," said Tang Xiu. "What shall we do next, Grand Master?" asked Gu Xiaoxue. "Prepare to set off immediately to have a look at Clam Island. If the place is really suitable for the implementation of our plan, we must snatch it from the Yao family no matter what means we employ. Yao Xinhua is a very talented guy and he'll definitely become the main pillar of the Yao family in the future. We'll make him stay in the South China Sea for good if possible," said Tang Xiu. "I'll prepare the boat now, Grand Master," said Gu Xiaoxue. "I'll go with you," said Yang Lu hastily upon hearing it. After silently watching the two of them leave, Tang Xiu reread the information of the investigation conducted by the Everlasting Feast Hall. Countless thoughts swirled inside his mind as he silently thought of how to pay the lowest price and obtain the maximum benefits. In the hallway, Yang Lu looked at Gu Xiaoxue with sparkling eyes and curiously asked, "Xiaoxue, why did you call Tang Xiu Grand Master? Is he really your master's master?" "Yes," Gu Xiaoxue smilingly nodded. Touching his chin, Yang Lu said with a curious expression, "Properly speaking, your master should be old already, no? With such an old age, yet still willing to acknowledge Tang Xiu as a master means that Tang Xiu truly has the ability. I." As he spoke up to there, Yang Lu suddenly felt that an invisible hand had grabbed his throat, causing him to be unable to utter a single word. However, what panicked him the most was not this, but the fact that he lost control over his own body. An invisible force had wrapped him and quickly lifted and hung him upside down in the hallway. Ghost. While being hung upside down, as Yang Lu tried desperately to loosen his neck, he suddenly saw Gu Xiaoxue making hand seals. He was as though being hung up inside the Ashura hell filled with lava, surrounded by a mountain of corpses and rivers of blood, whereas countless fiendish forms and evil spirits appeared inside. While standing in front of Yang Lu, the corner of Gu Xiaoxue's mouth formed an arc of a smile as she turned around and walked away. Since Yang Lu saw her, his eyes shined whenever he saw her, and that made her feel annoyed. If not because she was in front of her Grand Master, she would have made Yang Lu suffer already. And now, he even dared to vilify her master's age. It's something that forbearance was no longer able to tolerate. Only now did Yang Lu regretted it. Had he known earlier that Gu Xiaoxue, whose beauty was akin to a celestial fairy, turned out to be a cruel and merciless woman with such terrifying abilities, he wouldn't have dared to provoke her even if he was killed. He would even stay far away from her and hide. The hellish world made Yang Li's legs shiver. If he could, he really wouldn't wait to beg and ask for mercy, hoping that Gu Xiaoxue could put him back. Whoosh. 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 3 ghostly figures silently appeared in the hallway. Quirky expressions were painted on the faces of 3 stalwart men upon seeing Yang Li's appearance. I forbid you to put him down. An erratic voice rang at the ears of the 3 burly men. Immediately, the 3 big men let out a strange smiles, as all of them then retreated. Inside a luxury suite, Tang Xiu could clearly hear Yang Li's loud prayers for help. When he released his spiritual sense and saw Yang Lu hung upside down in the hallway, he was at a loss between laughter and tears. Although he didn't know how Yang Lu made Gu Xiaoxue feel annoyed, he didn't feel like helping and putting him down since it was Gu Xiaoxue's doing. 10 minutes later, Han Qinggu walked down the hallway under the guidance of a woman. She wore an inconceivable expression when she saw Yang Lu, who was hanging upside down in the hallway. How did he? Han Qinggu approached Yang Lu and turned around to ask the woman with a stuttering voice. The woman smilingly said, I don't know either. But no one else in this restaurant is able to do such a feat except boss and little boss. Nodding in response, Han Qinggu circled around Yang Lu for a few times. She then raised her finger to touch her chin and a slightly blurred expression glinted in her eyes as she murmured, I seem to possess this ability as well. But it's kinda strange that there's nothing binding him and no restraints keeping his feet planted on the top of the hallway, and hanging him upside down like this, though. How should I do it? Taken aback, the woman asked in astonishment, Are you also a cultivator, Miss Han? Han Qinggu furrowed her brows and inquired, Cultivator? The term feels somewhat familiar to me. It's really strange. I seem to know tons of things, yet I don't seem to know anything about them either. Ugh. My head hurts. At this time, an erratic voice rang in Han Qingwu's ear, Since you can't recall it, you shouldn't try to recall it deliberately. You will remember it one day, I believe. Tang Xiu? Han Qingwu was startled and immediately walked forward. After opening the door to the luxury suite, she then saw Tang Xiu quietly sitting in the hall while smoking. You still don't want to tell me about that, Tang Xiu? Asked Han Qingwu. Being anxious is not needed, for the time has yet to come for you, I think. Tang Xiu shook his head. And I believe that you will remember everything you once knew sooner or later, regardless. Also, I already told you that I have important things to deal with in coming to Jingmen Island this time, so I don't have the time to accompany you sightseeing. If you feel that the service provided by the Everlasting Feast Hall is unsatisfactory, you can leave on your own. Han Qingwu rolled her eyes and grunted, Who said the services provided by the Everlasting Feast Hall are unsatisfactory? They prepared me the best room, and the service they provide me is great. I even decided to stay here before you finish dealing with your business. If anything, there are many rules and customs you need to observe and obey in the Everlasting Feast Hall. Tang Xiu nodded. If you want to stay here comfortably with vacation in mind, it's best not to violate the customs here. Tell me, is there something you need from me? I just want to ask how long it will take for you to finish your things, said Han Qingwu. The campus only gave me a short time for vacation. I don't know how long it will take, said Tang Xiu. If your vacation is over and I have yet to finish dealing with my business, you can go back by yourself. Okay. Pay attention to your safety, then. Han Qingwu gently nodded after hesitating for a while. Tang Xiu let out a faint smile, I'm not a kid anymore. I know how to take care of myself. Anyways, are you hungry? I've already instructed someone to prepare a meal. They should be delivering it soon. I just so happen to be starving, said Han Qingwu with a smile. After the savory dishes were delivered, Tang Xiu broke the illusion array that restricted Yang Lu and brought the ghastly pale Yang Lu back to the hall. After putting him on the sofa, he said, I'm not related to whatever bitter experience you've just encountered. She wouldn't have taught you a lesson if you didn't say something that annoyed or made her upset. Just take a rest and eat. Important are already waiting for us after eating. Crawling up from the sofa, Yang Li's eyes were still filled with fear. He said in a trembling voice, "B brother Tang, how do you have so many monsters? T that X Xiao. T that Gu Xiao Xua looks like a celestial fairy, but she's more frightening than a witch. I just heard someone shouting ghosts. That should be you, no?" Tang Xiu chuckled. "Anyhow, you're someone from the occult sect. It would really be a huge joke if people from the occult sect feared ghosts, don't you think?" Cough, cough. Yang Li choked and laughed, and his handsome face turned beet red. Han Qingwu's eyes widened in astonishment. I never thought that Mr. Yang Lu, whose mouth is so amazingly sharp, would blush out of embarrassment. It's really unthinkable. Then, I guess the person who said that word before should be him, right? Or else he wouldn't have blushed in embarrassment like this. You guys. Yang Lu was miffed out of embarrassment. He fiercely glared at Tang Xiu and Han Qingwu as he staggeringly stood up and turned to leave. I'm full already. I'll be waiting for you outside. Han Qingwu burst into laughter. Just after dinner, Gu Xiaoxue hurried back. There was an invitation envelope in her hand as she came to Tang Xiu's front and said, "Grand Master, this is an invitation from the Ouyang family. They are holding a charity banquet in Sheraton Hotel. They hope the Everlasting Feast Hall can participate in the event. Also, I just received news that Yao Xinhua, who is currently in Jingmen Island, has also received this invitation." Yao Xinhua. A cold glint flashed in Tang Xiu's eyes as he nodded and said, "Since someone from the Yao family will go, then I'll personally attend it as well. I will let that brat know who will send him to hell in the future." Chapter 542, Meeting the Foe in Person. Jingmen Island's Sheraton Hotel was located in the heart of the city's downtown area, an area where an inch of land was as valuable as gold. It covered a large area, and the entire hotel building was impressively stylish. The hotel was the first option for a lot of tourists who come from all over the country, hence the price was quite high. On the surface, the Ouyang family was the most powerful family in Jingmen Island. After decades in business, the position of the family was difficult for other families to catch up to regardless of whether it was business network or social connection. Nearly all respected figures in Jingmen Island were invited to the charity party organized by the Ouyang family. Even foreign dignitaries also received invitations. At 5 p.m., a luxury car entered Sheraton Hotel. Powerful figures in well-dressed outfits entered the hotel and were warmly welcomed by Ouyang Lei as they entered the hall. At nearly 6 p.m., Ouyang Lei looked at his watch, turned to look at his nearest man and asked, "How many of the invited have yet to arrive?" "About 10 plus, whispered a gentle, middle-aged man. Ouyang Lei squinted his eyes. As he noticed a luxury car driving in and stopping in front of him, he glanced at it and quickly came to greet, since he found that the person inside was an acquaintance. After exchanging several pleasantries, and the other party entered the hotel's lobby, an ordinary SUV then stopped near him. "Huh?" Ouyang Lei's expression moved, before it was replaced by pleasant surprise upon seeing that it was Gu Xiaoxue. However, Tang Xiu's figure appeared as he had yet to arrive in front of Gu Xiaoxue. "Goodness, how are you here, brother-in-law? How have you been?" Ouyang Lei directly ignored Gu Xiaoxue and walked toward Tang Xiu. Tang Xiu rolled his eyes and looked at Ouyang Lei, whose expression was that of pleasant surprise, and then said, "Can you change your of addressing me? Even if you don't think of me, at least do it for your younger sister, please? She isn't married yet, and calling me brother-in-law will damage her reputation." Staring blankly for a moment, Ouyang Lei immediately patted his own head and said, "Ah, you're right. My little sis isn't married to you yet, so you can't be considered as my in-law yet. Then, you're my prospective brother-in-law. This address should be correct, no?" Tang Xiu glanced at Yang Lu, who came out from the driver's seat, and said, "Remember this guy. I give you 1 night. Make him anxious to seek me tomorrow. Yang Lu looked at Ouyang Lei with a strange, scrutinizing look, and then nodded with a smile. No problem. You can consider it done already. What do you mean? What is this? Asked the confused Ouyang Lei. I won't introduce you to him for the time being, said Tang Xiu with a faint smile. You will know who he is tomorrow. Also, I'm kind of a guest too, aren't you going to warmly welcome me, as the host? Laughing, Ouyang Lei said, that won't be needed. I definitely won't exchange false pleasantries with you. You can attend any charity party organized by our family whenever you want. Anyways, it's almost time for the event to start. Let's go inside together. After entering the lobby, they took the elevator to the 26th floor. When they were about to enter the banquet hall, Tang Xiu asked with inattentive expression, I heard you also invited the Yao family. Are they here yet? Looking vacant for a while, Ouyang Lei quickly realized something and hastily said, future brother-in-law, don't act reasonably today. I know that your Tang family and the Yaos clashed recently, but today, the powerful figures in the entire Jingmen Island are here. My family won't be able to deal with the aftermath if an accident were to happen. I won't provoke them if they don't provoke me, said Tang Xiu with a slight smile. Ouyang Lu nodded silently. Yao Xinhua has arrived along with several people. They should be inside right now. Tang Xiu no longer spoke. After entering the banquet hall with Ouyang Lei, he saw hundreds of people inside. The hall was fortunately very large, as it could accommodate thousands of people, so it didn't seem too crowded. Under the soft illumination of the crystal lights, tables full of wine and delicacies could be seen everywhere, whereas the powerful figures were gathered in groups of 3 to 5 people and chatting on various topics. What is the purpose of your family in organizing such a magnificent event today? Putting it plainly, it's just a simple charity donation, said Ouyang Lei smilingly said. The Ouyang family has been organizing this kind of event almost every year. However, the charity party seems to have changed its meaning along with the passage of time, though. It has become a grand meeting for private exchanges between business elites, officials, and powerful figures in Jingmen Island. As of now, every successful figure in Jingmen Island takes the invitation of my family to this banquet as an honor that they can be proud of, or something like that. It dawned upon Tang Xiu as he thought about how the Ouyang family could become the most prominent influence in Jingmen Island. He was sure that they must have many other means to accumulate social connections and network all this time, and this charity party was only one of those. All right. You don't need to accompany me since you're the host of the party. Attend to your duty, we'll have more time to talk later, said Tang Xiu. Ouyang Lei smilingly nodded. He indeed had the duty of entertaining the guests, since he was the future successor of the Ouyang family. It would be quite unjustified for the other guests if he were to keep accompanying Tang Xiu. With his departure, Gu Xiaoxue, who was walking alongside Tang Xiu, became the focus of many people's attentions. She leaned toward Tang Xiu and whispered, Grand Master, pay attention to the 2 o'clock direction. The young man in white suit, with straight-combed hair to the back, is the one who is touted as the most skilled junior of the Yao family's latest generation. Yao Xinhua. Tang Xiu set his eyes ahead and saw the handsome and tall Yao Xinhua, who was now holding a glass of red wine and merrily chatting with several big figures. As if sensing that someone was watching him, Yao Xinhua glanced around for a few times before his and Tang Xiu's eyes finally met. Tang Xiu gave him a cool smile and then turned toward the rest area in the corner. It was his first time seeing Yao Xinhua today, and he admitted that the young man indeed possessed a silver bearing and good brains. He could tell that Yao Xinhua also had quite some abilities. This type of person may be terrifying for many people, but he was nothing to him. Maybe if that old man, the head of the Yao family, was to come here, only then would Tang Xiu pay attention. At the 2 o'clock direction, after Yao Xinhua saw Tang Xiu, his expression turned solemn and serious. A cold glint flashed in his eyes, as he could feel a killing intent gushed out from him. In the first bout with the Tang family in the southern region, he was completely routed by Tang Xiu's strikes. He, who was originally in high spirits and persistently delivered heavy blows on and was prepared to rout the Tang family, finally ended up in total defeat and lost 2 provinces completely. It happened so fast that it ended up in vain for him. The strategy employed by the Tang family rendered him unable to react and come to support his forces in time, and everything he did to cope with the situation was always too late. The end result was simply miserable. His Yao family and the families that were on good terms with them suffered quite a heavy blow, and he was forced to retreat in defeat time and time again. All of his achievements were turned into nothing, causing him to be forced to retreat back to Beijing. At that time he was furious and aggrieved, because he couldn't figure out who his real adversary was. Only until later, after conducting investigations through various channels, did he finally found that the real culprit was the missing offspring of the Tang family. The fellow named Tang Xiu, he was the one who took over the battlefield in the southern region and literally played him this miserably. He thus regarded Tang Xiu as his mortal enemy in this life. Even until now, he had been preparing himself, looking forward to play again with Tang Xiu in the future, to wash all the shame and humiliation he had gotten from him. However, seeing Tang Xiu all of a sudden made his heart tighten despite having already prepared himself for the occasion. Why did he appear here? Yao Xinhua kept his cool and wasn't affected by the killing intent. Countless thoughts swirled inside his head, as he silently figured out the purpose of Tang Xiu appearing here. Logically speaking, Tang Xiu should now be in Shanghai studying. Don't tell me, it's because my family's plan of renting an island in the South China Sea? As Yao Xinhua thought up to there, his heart immediately felt tight, and a vigilant look appeared in his eyes. It must be noted that this plan of the Yao family was very important. If they could complete it, the Yao family would continue to grow and their armed forces would progress and expand rapidly. As long as the plan went smoothly, the Yao family would be able to stand proudly in the capital as the most powerful family. Excuse me. Keeping a cordial smile on his face, Yao Xinhua spoke to the people around him. Then, he carried his glass of red wine and walked to the corner. There, he took out his mobile phone and dialed a cell number. "Dad, it's me," spoke Yao Xinhua in a whisper. "What is it?" A majestic voice replied from the phone. "I met Tang Xiu in the charity party organized by the Ouyang family in Jingmen Island, Dad," said Yao Xinhua. "I suspect his sudden appearance in Jingmen Island must be related to our family's upcoming plan that is about to be implemented." "Tang Xiu?" Yao Qingqing's voice brought a doubtful tone. "Which Tang Xiu are you talking about?" "It's the Tang Xiu from the Tang family," said Yao Xinhua. Yao Qingqing fell into silence for a while. As if suddenly recalling something, he suddenly spoke in a heavy tone, "The Tang Xiu whom you competed against in the southern region? The brat who was missing from the Tang family for 20 years? "Yes, it's him," said Yao Xinhua. Yao Qingqing was silent for a moment, and then said in a grim and cold tone, "There must be no mistakes in implementing the plan this time. Although you're there just to smooth things over, you'd better avoid trouble. With a member of the Tang family suddenly appearing in Jingmen Island, that means they have noticed something already. In this case, find a chance to make this Tang Xiu stay in Jingmen Island forever." "I understand, Dad." Yao Xinhua's face moved. "He'll meet his maker for sure, and it will be carried out silently. Don't take it lightly. He's in the shadows and you're in the light, so take your own security as the first priority," said Yao Qingqing. "If it doesn't go well, then retreat at once. I believe your uncle will be able to do it very secretively. Don't worry. I know what I'm capable of," said Yao Xinhua. "I won't take the initiative to strike without 100% certainty. I'll immediately retreat should the slightest sign of trouble arise." Chapter 543, Fight. After ending the call, Yao Xinhua waved to a nearby middle-aged man. After the man came over, he then whispered to him, "Divide our men into 2 groups and have them hide nearby. Also, place a sniper on the opposite building and wait for my next orders. Understood. The middle-aged man replied and left with a cautious expression. A cold glint flashed in Yao Xinhua's eyes. He took a cigarette pack from his pocket but put it back after recalling where he was. However, his eyes penetrated through the gaps in the crowd and looked at Tang Xiu, who was sitting in a remote corner. At this time, Tang Xiu tilted his legs and sat quietly on the sofa in the corner of the banquet hall. His eyes observed all the guests, whose faces were all smiling. He never liked this kind of banquet, for charity was nothing but only a flaunting banner, whereas the true purpose inside their minds was something else altogether. It was far from being as pure as it was supposed to be. Nevertheless, he could understand how these people thought as well. They were all mortals, and doing such mundane things were what ordinary people did. This fact was a common knowledge for cultivators. Managing such a complicated personal and social connections, if they wanted to set a foothold in society, they must seize every opportunity and obtain all the benefits they could get whenever they made friends with each other. Only by doing that could they better develop their careers and obtain more wealth in the future. What is it? You don't like the scene here? Tang Xiu looked at Gu Xiaoxue, who was sitting across from him, as a trace of a smile appeared on his face.
Yeah,
I really don't like it, replied Gu Xiaoxue with a gentle nod. It's you who were willing to come along. Don't force yourself if you really don't like it. Tang Xiu smiled. Go back. And tell our men to prepare the ship. We'll head to sea after this charity party is over. Gu Xiaoxue hesitated for a moment before she got up and said, then, I'll be waiting on the boat. Sitting next to Tang Xiu, Yang Lu watched Gu Xiaoxue's back as she left. His strained expression finally relaxed. The experience of being hung upside down in the hallway made him wary and afraid toward Gu Xiaoxue, thus he felt uneasy whenever Gu Xiaoxue was around him. Huff. Yang Lu secretly breathed a sigh of relief and forced a smile. Brother Tang, I'm really curious about something. How can you have such a grand disciple? Isn't she great? Tang Xiu chuckled. Xiaoxue is such a cute and well-behaved kid. She's pretty good, too. Cute and well-behaved? Yang Lu almost spurted out a mouthful of blood and secretly grunted inside.
Yeah.
She's all good and respectful towards you, even treating you like an ancestor. But towards me. I know what you're thinking. If anything, as long as you don't take the initiative to provoke her, she definitely won't act against you, Tang Xiu smilingly said. I know how you love pretty women, but don't mess with women whom you don't know anything about, or else you'll be in for big trouble later. What you said is spot on. Yang Lu said with certainty. I gotta be more vigilant when dealing with women later. The saying that a woman's heart is more lethal than a hornet's sting is very true. Don't be so extreme. Tang Xiu couldn't help laughing. Anyways, let's forget about these boring things, shall we? You have only tonight. I hope Ouyang Lei to be in a restless state everywhere before I get back from Clam Island. An adage says that brothers keep the account in a clear and straight manner, Brother Tang. Yang Li flicked his fingers. How will you thank me if I help you tonight? I'm planning to provide you with a small opportunity. If your performance is satisfactory, then the chance will be a big one, said Tang Xiu with a faint smile. 10 times. Your strength will be promoted by at least 10 times as long as you do well. Deal. Yang Lu got up with excitement. A man can never take his own words back. I'll investigate everything about Ouyang Lei. Wait for my good news. Then off you go. Tang Xiu laughed. Stay in the everlasting feast hall before I get back from the sea and help me investigate the Yao family while convenient as well. Copy that. Yang Lu gave his word and quickly left the banquet hall. The charity party began at 6 p.m. As the host, Ouyang Lei delivered his speech with great enthusiasm, and then invited his father, Ouyang Wenjin, to come to the podium and to deliver his speech. It was Tang Xiu's first time seeing Ouyang Wenxin, a quite dignified person with an imposing aura, and his gestures gave off the vibe of a great person. Tang Xiu recalled Ouyang Lulu's request to visit the Ouyang family. Although he promised her to do so, he had yet to honor it. In actuality, it was not so much that he wanted to go back on his word as it was because he didn't want his relationship with Lulu to turn more complicated. The charity party proceeded very quickly, and the subsequent events of the charity auction unfolded smoothly. The auctioned items were not precious, and there was nothing that could enter Tang Xiu's eyes. Hence, he didn't spend his money on anything at all and regarded himself as a bystander, as he quietly stayed in the most inconspicuous corner while observing Yao Xinhua. At the end of the charity auction, some bought something they liked, showing favor and buying the Ouyang family's friendship. In a short note, the charity auction couldn't be considered as successful, regardless. Tang Xiu, isn't it? By the time the cocktail party started, Yao Xinhua finally appeared in front of Tang Xiu carrying a glass of red wine. Still sitting on the sofa with tilted legs, Tang Xiu looked up at Yao Xinhua without much attention. The corner of his mouth slightly arched, and then he smilingly said,
Ah.
"It turns out to be the defeated general. I never thought you would dare to take the initiative to appear before me. Are you not afraid that I'll cut off your head myself and make it into a chamber pot?" Yao Xinhua let out a sneer and turned to sit down on the opposite sofa. He gently sipped the red wine and then lightly said, "An old adage says that both victory and defeat are common things for generals and soldiers, and the winner who can laugh at the end is really elusive. As for me, I'm looking forward to what kind of performance you will have in the future. You can be sure that I'll have many chances in the future to have good performances and achievements in the future, but I'm afraid that you'll have few chances to participate in them." Tang Xiu smiled. "Anyhow, you may not like to hear what I'm gonna say, but of all people in your Yao family, only the old family head is worthy of me to look at. As for the others..." Giving him a thumbs up, Yao Xinhua didn't look angered due to Tang Xiu's contempt. On the contrary, a bright smile appeared on his face as he smilingly said, "I got you." I was kind of filled with anticipation that the Tang family would give me some pressure and motivation after I got back from abroad. But the other members of the Tang family are too weak, so weak that they didn't give me the slightest stimulation. Luckily, you appeared. I'm glad the Tang family found you, otherwise, I'd still feel bored even if the Tang family was destroyed later. Tang Xiu smirked. Great. You have pride carved in your bones and confidence in your blood. A pity that I already incited 1/3 of my opponent's fear already. If I knew that I was so rude to you in Fukong, I would have acted gentler and perhaps would have obtained a better harvest. Tang Xiu, a man will not be stranded by things already in the past. Do you want to make a bet with me?" replied Yao Xinhua with a sneer. "Say it. How do you want to play?" Tang Xiu shrugged his shoulders. "Let us bet on ourselves. Who will leave the hotel while standing and who will lie down? Do you dare to bet with me?" asked Yao Xinhua. "What's the stake?" asked Tang Xiu with a smile. "You can choose," said Yao Xinhua. "Fine. Then let's take the common option. We'll bet with money." Tang Xiu chuckled. "I've been quite poor recently, I can't even eat in the cafeteria on my campus. How about 1 billion renminbi?" "So little." Yao Xinhua sneered. 1 billion it is. That's just the way I like, to always show myself in a rich and imposing manner. The smell of gunpowder filled their every exchange. And as they were now engaged in a psy war, they wanted to strike each other's minds with words. Unfortunately, both of them were mentally tough, thus they were not very affected. "Gimme your cell number." Tang Xiu took out his mobile phone and flicked his fingers. Yao Xinhua curled up his mouth. "You wanna know my cell number? Do you wanna personally message me, by chance? Didn't someone in your family give you my cell number?" I never liked troublesome things, said Tang Xiu. I'm the same. I kinda hate troublesome things, too, said Yao Xinhua with a nod. After saying that, he told Tang Xiu his cell number. Tang Xiu quickly typed a short message and sent Yao Xinhua his name and a bank account that only had a small amount of savings. He then got up and smilingly said, I sent my bank account to you. Just remember to transfer the money to my account early tomorrow. You're that confident, huh? Yao Xinhua mocked. While maintaining his smile, Tang Xiu nodded and said, I am very confident. You'll see. The next moment, Tang Xiu's figure instantly appeared in front of Yao Xinhua, his speed extremely fast. Despite Yao Xinhua himself not being an average person, he wasn't able to sense Tang Xiu's action. His body quickly turned stiff, as his sight then turned black and he fainted shortly after. Tang Xiu's body flickered and disappeared silently from the banquet hall without anyone noticing. The purpose of his coming here today had already been achieved, thus he didn't feel like wasting his time here anymore. He didn't kill Yao Xinhua given the 1 billion yuan gambling money. He also thought that, by oppressing Yao Xinhua, he could eradicate more of the Yao family's influence. Huh? The moment he stepped out of the hotel, a cold glint burst out from Tang Xiu's eyes. He could keenly sense that numerous eyes were staring at him, and the sense of crisis which rose inside his heart made him instantly release his spiritual sense. 15 men, all armed with firearms. But it's not them who's giving me a sense of threat, however. It's someone else. It should be a sniper who's hiding somewhere else, since only a hidden sniper can give me such a feeling. Chapter 544, Stamping About in Fury. Had it been in the past, Tang Xiu's first reaction would be to escape and look for a solid shelter. But now, he didn't care about sniper bullets at all. Though he did feel a threatening feeling, he could face it with ease, for he was fully confident of being able to evade the bullets of the opposite party. Even if there was hard resistance, he believed that the bullets couldn't penetrate his skin, much less injure him. This confidence was brought by the surge in his cultivation level. After having gone through a fortuitous encounter in the ancient tomb, his strength had soared by more than 100 times. And, perhaps, he had already surpassed the level of Xiaomingzhen and Miao Wendong. Those who aim at me with their muzzles are as good as dead. With his eagle-like sharp vision, Tang Xiu shot a look at the opposite building. Like a tidal wave, his spiritual sense spread out toward the direction of the opposite building, and instantly discovered the targets who were behind the windows of a 10th floor room. 2 silver needles instantly appeared on his hands. His fingers flicked, as the 2 silver needles streaked across the sky and accurately pierced the spot between the eyebrows of the 2 snipers, that were 100 meters away from him. He snorted coldly. He didn't even want to check whether the 2 men had completely died, and just casually organized his collar. After taking back his spiritual sense, he then walked toward the coming car. Take me to the docks, said Tang Xiu calmly after taking a seat. Bright Pearl Harbor of Jingmen Island was a large dock. Aside from luxury passenger ships and yachts, there were also heavy cargo ships. The liner prepared by the Everlasting Feast Hall was precisely anchored here. Grand Master. Gu Xiaoxue immediately came out from the luxury liner after obtaining the news of Tang Xiu's arrival. The liner was tens of meters long and was able to accommodate at least 100 people on board, although it was not a large liner. At this time, there was no attendance on board, only the Everlasting Feast Hall's people. Operating this luxury liner was an easy task for the dozens experts of the Everlasting Feast Hall. Everyone aboard the ship, including the chef, were all experts of the restaurant. Are you all ready? Asked Tang Xiu calmly after boarding the luxury liner.
Yeah.
We're all ready. Gu Xiaoxue nodded. We can set sail at any time. It will only take 11 hours to reach Clam Island if the weather is good, so we'll arrive there about tomorrow in the morning. Tang Xiu nodded, get ready to sail. Sheraton Hotel's Grand Banquet Hall. The charity party had concluded and the guests were leaving. However, more than 10 experts of the Yao family still wandered, lingering around the rest area in the corner and looking confused. Their eyes were fixated on Yao Xinhua, who looked to be in a deep sleep, but no one dared to wake him up. What happened? Ouyang Lei had sent away a group of guests and was a bit drunk. A strange expression appeared on his face after seeing Yao Xinhua and the Yao family's men. An expert of the Yao family shook his head and said, "It's our young master. He seems to be asleep." Ouyang Lei was at a loss, between laughter and tears, to think he can sleep in this occasion. Your young master is really a wonderful marvel. Anyways, the charity party is over, just wake him up. You should have rented a room in the hotel if you're sleepy. Why did you have to sleep here? The several experts of the Yao family looked embarrassed. One of them nodded slightly, as he went to Yao Xinhua and called out, "Young master, we should leave." There was no movement. Yao Xinhua still remained asleep and didn't move at all. The eyebrows of that Yao family's expert furrowed. He then touched Yao Xinhua with his hands and his complexion suddenly changed after realizing that there was no response. He exerted more strength to shake Yao Xinhua's body, but the result was still the same. Not good, something's wrong. Immediately, several experts of the Yao family gathered around and looked panicked. They were experts of the Yao family who were responsible to protect Yao Xinhua's safety. Severe punishment would be waiting for them if something happened to him. Ouyang Lei walked over and frowned. He tried to shake Yao Xinhua's body several times, and then immediately said after realizing that there was no response, "Instead of being drunk, he seems to be, call 120 immediately, and have the hospital's rescuer staff quickly come here." The expert of the Yao family who first discovered the condition of Yao Xinhua stretched his hand out to pick him up and said, in a heavy voice, "Calling 120 is not needed. We'll immediately send the young master to the hospital. Let's go." "I'll go with you," said Ouyang Lei quickly. Ouyang Lei perfectly realized that this matter couldn't be separated from his family, as it happened in their charity party. No to mention that he also wanted to know what happened to Yao Xinhua, so he followed them. An hour later, at the first public hospital of Jingmen Island, President Zhuang Yuanxiu frowned deeply. He read the information about Yao Xinhua's physical examination report and couldn't speak for a long time. "What exactly is the situation of our young master, Dr. Zhuang?" asked an expert of the Yao family. "The results from the examination show that his body is very healthy. We can't find a reason as to why he remains unconscious." Zhuang Yuanxiu shook his head and forced a smile. "Thus, we must conduct a comprehensive examination on him, but it will take much time and I'm afraid we can only have the full results tomorrow morning." "President Zhuang, our young master's life won't be in danger, right?" asked the Yao family's expert rapidly. "It's hard to say. Through the routine inspections we found his life is not in danger. On the contrary, his body is very healthy and there's no injury at all." Zhuang Yuanxiu shook his head. "However, his comatose state is very unnatural, and I can't say for sure about the specific situation he's in right now. I need to perform a comprehensive examination before I can make a diagnosis." That Yao family's expert was silent for a moment, and then nodded. "Then we'll have to trouble President Zhuang. I'll immediately relay the situation to the family. I hope that your hospital staff can produce the examination results faster. Rest assured." Zhuang Yuanxiu replied and turned his head to look at Ouyang Lei. "President Zhuang, you can say freely if you have something that the Ouyang family can render our assistance to," said Ouyang Lei. "Not for the time being. Please have a rest first, all of you. Give the patient to us and the hospital to take care of. I've instructed the person in charge of the inpatient department to send a team to look after him 24/7. "All right. Thanks for the hard work." Ouyang Lei acted very polite and exchanged a few words with the Yao family's people before taking his leave. Since the hospital had yet to find what's wrong with Yao Xinhua, then him staying wouldn't have much meaning. Furthermore, he didn't like Yao Xinhua. Not because of Yao Xinhua's arrogant personality, but mainly because he was the mortal enemy of his future brother-in-law. Late at night, in a certain upscale villa complex in Jingmen Island, a Mercedes-Benz sedan slowly entered the area and drove through the electric gate in an open villa. The driver opened the rear seat door and respectfully escorted Ouyang Lei out of the car. Ouyang Lei was still a bit drunk, but the cool breeze helped restore his spirit. "Strange, how come the lights are already on?" Ouyang Lei whispered. After telling the chauffeur to leave, he strode inside and went directly to the villa's living room. He had been living his life in a very low-key manner despite being the young master and future successor of the Ouyang family. Only a few people knew about this secret residence of his. "Sister Chang?" Ouyang Lei looked around. The housekeeper, Sister Chang, used to wait for him in the living room. But today she wasn't here, thus the foreboding feeling inside his heart grew more intense. Cautiously, he walked to the left corridor and knocked on the door of the room where Sister Chang usually stayed. There was no response at all, thus he immediately pushed the door open. He found the lights lit but no one inside. "Where's she?" Ouyang Lei frowned. The foreboding that filled his heart turned into a bad premonition. However, when he returned and went to the next room's door, he immediately discovered Sister Chang asleep in the guest room bed. His tight heart suddenly relaxed. He smiled, shook his head and turned away to leave, heading to the second floor. There, he habitually opened the door to the study room, but his pupils abruptly shrunk as a panicked look filled his eyes upon seeing the scene inside. Everything inside the study room was a mess, and things were fallen over everywhere. Of the things he particularly cherished, the expensive writing set had been carelessly thrown to the floor and the ink was spilled on the floor. The study room's bookcases had its doors opened and the books on it were messed up, and even many of them were discarded on the floor. A thief. Ouyang Lei dashed toward the cloakroom. When he saw that the cloakroom had been similarly turned upside down, he instantly sprinted to the innermost wardrobe. Fuck. All the clothes in the wardrobe had been randomly thrown everywhere. On the cabinet wall, the hidden safe had been left open, and all the extremely highly valuable items had vanished. He may get distressed over the gold, jewelry, and antiques, but it was still within the limits he could bear. But there were the very important account books of the Ouyang family in the safe, and the contents recorded in those account books contained some businesses of the Ouyang family that must not be exposed to light. This is a huge problem. Ouyang Lei's lips quivered, and the effect of wine on him was completely obliterated. After taking a few deep breaths, he quickly took out his mobile phone and dialed a cell number. "Father, an accident happened. My house was burglarized by a thief and, not only all the valuable things were stolen, even the account books I used to record the important businesses of our family were also stolen. Once the records on those account books are exposed, the Ouyang family will be in for a huge trouble. Curse it." Ouyang Wenjin's angry voice was heard cursing in the phone. Half an hour later, Ouyang Wenjin, leading dozens of Ouyang family's experts, caught up. When he saw the ghastly pale Ouyang Lei, who looked panicked and alarmed, he sternly shouted, "Tell me everything. You must not miss even half a word. And tell me, why the hell did you record so many important account books of our family in a place with such a bad security in the first place?" Chapter 545, Panicked and Confounded. With a bitter expression, Ouyang Lei explained about the situation he found after returning tonight, and then said, "The account books were actually kept here for a few years, because I think this place is the safest and most covert place." Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Ouyang Wenjin angrily yelled. Who would have thought that a thief would appear here, huh? I thought you were a cautious and prudent person. I didn't expect you to. You really tick me off. If we can't retrieve the account books or the records are exposed, Ouyang family will suffer a huge blow. Even those who have been eyeing us will surely strike at that time. What are we going to do then, father? Asked Ouyang Lei with a panicked expression. Taking a deep breath, Yang Wenjin tried to calm his anger and said, "What to do, you ask? I must first find that thief who stole the account books, even if I must turn the whole Jingmen Island upside down. The most important of all is to find and get those account books back. Also, inform all those in charge of our gray businesses to immediately suspend their operations. Destroy everything that must not be exposed, and tell them to lay low." Repeatedly nodding in response, Yang Lei thought deeply for a while and then asked, "Do we inform Lulu about this? Tell her to suspend the operations of her Paradise Club's business? Is there any records related to the Paradise Club in your account books?" asked Yang Wenjin in a deep voice after pausing for a while. "None, but I'm afraid," Yang Lei shook his head. Yang Wenjin nodded, then, "Inform her. Although the Paradise Club was established by Lulu, it's also an industry belonging to the Ouyang family. Now that our account books are lost, if someone were to make a fuss about anything related to our family, I'm afraid each and every of our businesses will be targeted by them." "I understand." Yang Lei nodded and forced a smile. Today was really strange. Tang Xiu came uninvited to the charity banquet, and the young master of the Yao family, Yao Xinhua, fell into a strange comatose state. And now this happened in my own place. This feels abnormal. What is this abnormality you're speaking about? Yang Wenjin frowned. The previous scenes flashed inside Yang Lei's eyes. As though recalling something, he immediately took out his mobile phone and called Tang Xiu. He was left extremely depressed upon finding that his phone was turned off. "Father, I'm going to the Everlasting Feast Hall," said Yang Lei in a deep voice. "What are you gonna do there?" asked Yang Wenjin. "I suspect that the burglary and the stolen things here must be related with the Everlasting Feast Hall." "Precisely speaking, it must be related to Tang Xiu," said Yang Lei. "Why do you say that?" asked Yang Wenjin. "The bizarre incidents that took place today, I think all of them have something to do with Tang Xiu, for he suddenly came to attend the charity party today," Yang Lei said. "I was planning to take him to you after the banquet ended, only to find that he had left early on. You should also know the relation between the Yao and Tang families. And the place where Yao Xinhua fell into a comatose state, it was precisely the innermost corner's rest area where Tang Xiu was staying. Also, I still clearly remember that Tang Xiu told a young man next to him to memorize my face because I always call him as my prospective brother-in-law. He gave the young man one night to do something and even said to make me see him tomorrow morning." With a strange expression, Yang Wenjin inquired, "You always call Tang Xiu your future brother-in-law?"
Yeah.
"That's what I call him," Yang Lei said with an awkward expression. "It's because of Lulu. She's so adamant and vehemently says that she must marry Tang Xiu. She even gave up and left the Paradise Club and took all of her money to Shanghai to open a restaurant manor or something. Her purpose was so clear that it can be tacitly understood. Hence, I thought of Tang Xiu not as an outsider, treating him like a close relative." Upon hearing this, Yang Wenjin was at a loss between laughter and tears. "That's really ridiculous. The prospective future son-in-law of the Ouyang family? I myself have never seen him. Is this what you're supposed to do? Whether your younger sister likes him, that's her business, but you of all people can't force him to marry Lulu. If what you said is really true, then it may be Tang Xiu who made this prank to troll us. In this case, I'll accompany you to the Everlasting Feast Hall. After meeting him, it will be very clear to us whether Tang Xiu is really the one behind it." "But father, is it really appropriate that a prospective future father-in-law to see his prospective son-in-law?" "It's fine going by myself. I'll drag him over and you can ask him whatever you want." "You still have the guts to joke at this time? You know how important those account books are to our Ouyang family, don't you? Stop saying rubbish and follow me," Yang Wenjin chided. 1 o'clock in the night, a dozen cars stopped at the outermost gate of the Everlasting Feast Hall. For stalwart men with cold expressions looked at Yang Lei, who came out of the car, and said in a cold voice, "Mr. Ouyang, the Everlasting Feast Hall is not open for guests at this time. If you want to dine here, please come back tomorrow morning." "I didn't come here to dine, I came to find Tang Xiu," said Ouyang Lei. The stalwart man knitted his brows. "Have you made an appointment?" "No, but I have a very important matter that I need to speak with him." Ouyang Lei shook his head. "I must see him immediately." The stalwart man shook his head and replied, "I'm sorry. If you don't have an appointment, I can't allow you to enter. Please come back again tomorrow morning if you have something to speak to him." "If it wasn't for Tang Xiu turning his mobile phone off, did you think that I'd come here personally?" Ouyang Lei was incensed. "Don't bullshit me. Contact him immediately and tell him that I have something important that I need to see him about. Also, tell him to come to see me." The stalwart man shook his head and said, "Even though I want to inform the boss, but he hasn't come back yet, so I can do nothing about it." "Tang Xiu hasn't come back yet?" asked Ouyang Lei. "Yes." The stalwart man nodded. "Tang Xiu hasn't come back, but Gu Xiaoxue should have come back by now, right?" asked Ouyang Lei. "Our little boss isn't back yet as well," said the stalwart man. "You're lying to me, aren't you?" Ouyang Lei angrily yelled. "Tang Xiu is my future brother-in-law. He'll become a family member of our Ouyang house. Now, I have important things that I need to see him about, and yet you guys are obstructing me. Tang Xiu will definitely punish you later. Allow us to pass immediately, we must go inside." The stalwart man naturally knew that Ouyang Lei was Ouyang Lulu's biological brother, and was also aware that the relationship between Ouyang Lulu and his boss was out of the ordinary. Even the relationship between the little boss, Gu Xiaoxue, and Ouyang Lulu was akin to sisters. "What's up here?" The patrol team of the Everlasting Feast Hall arrived, as a middle-aged man whose rank was slightly higher came forward and asked in a deep voice. The stalwart man then explained the situation, and even said the relationship between Ouyang Lei and Tang Xiu. The middle-aged man looked at Ouyang Lei with a smiling face and said, "Mr. Ouyang, properly speaking, I shouldn't reveal the whereabouts of my boss. But since you're not an outsider, then I might as well tell you. Our boss and little boss are currently sailing to the sea tonight, and I don't know when they'll return." "They are going to the sea?" Ouyang Lei frowned. "What are they doing so late at night at sea?" The middle-aged man shook his head, "That I don't know. But what I just told you is the truth." Ouyang Lei fell into silence for a while before he walked back to the car and reported the situation to Ouyang Wenjin, as the latter then finally said, "Assign someone to stay and wait for Tang Xiu. Report immediately once he comes back. As for us, let's go back first." "Understood." At this time, amid the grove of trees a few tens of meters away from the gate, Yang Luk clammed a toothpick on the corner of his mouth, as a faint smile outlined on his handsome face. He had indeed spent quite some time and energy to find Ouyang Lei's residence and did something there. The result seemed to be very good, as it even made Ouyang Lei bring a lot of people and come here so late at night. Pity that Tang Xiu has already gone to the sea, though. "Ouyang Lei, even if you come back early tomorrow, I'm afraid you still won't be able to see him. Just agonize for a while." Yang Lim muttered to himself and then disappeared into the woods with a grin. However, just as he had left for half a minute and was not across the woods yet, a large hand stretched out from behind a tree and grabbed his neck from the back. "If you don't want to die, then stay still." A deep and low voice sounded behind Yang Lu. Despite being strong mentally, Yang Lu was still scared out of his wits and shocked due to the sudden incident. He was very confident in his skills, more so toward his topmost ability in hiding and concealment. But he didn't expect that he, who was always extremely alert, didn't sense the slightest presence of the opposite party. "No, don't misunderstand me." Yang Li's voice somewhat shivered as he raised his hands in an instant. "I'm Tang Xiu's friend, a VIP guest of the Everlasting Feast Hall." Whoosh. 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 3 ghostly figures flashed, and the iron clamping hand was removed from the back of Yang Li's neck. These 3 experts of the Everlasting Feast Hall were the ones on patrol duty and surrounded Yang Lu, in the middle of a triangle battle formation. One of them scrutinized Yang Lu before he cupped his fist and said, "Mr. Yang, I'm sorry. But the Everlasting Feast Hall has a rule that it's not allowed to stroll out of the accommodations area in the middle of the night. It's just that your stealthy movements back then made us unable to find you earlier." Yang Lu rubbed the back of his neck. He sized up the 3 men with a scared and frightened look, and then forced a smile and said, "What are you people in the Everlasting Feast Hall? Monsters? I'm a famous godly thief, yet I feel that after meeting you guys, all of you are more suitable than me in this sneaking about business, no? Sorry." The big man replied once again. Squeezing out a bitter smile, Yang Lu waved his hand and said, "Before Tang Shou left, he told me the many customs of your Everlasting Feast Hall. Forget it, since you forbid me to stroll around late at night, then I'll go back to sleep. Remember not to tell anyone about me, though." "I understand." The big man nodded.